What's up, man?
Hey, we live already, so that's what you said.
Yes, sir.
They clean the whole church. Remember your wife wants the whole church clean.
You mad?
Okay.
You think you Trump?
They don't
messing with you.
You live on me, I'm telling you that. You started that, it's started right there. You know that?
You going right?
You doing all right?
Pastor Monroe gonna pay for it for you.
Okay. Where's that?
I'm sorry. My brother gonna be speaking through your bag.
No,
Oh.
I was walking around.
You pass out some him?
No. That's how you pass out when you're walking out there.
I thought you said they gonna be with 20 minutes.
Oh, let me see that. I ain't seen that. Just so y'all know, we already live.
I told him.
Yeah, because they had started into that.
Oh, we done.
It's real nice. They know it's like that.
You see Carlos?
Yeah.
Okay, so,
What happened? Good morning.
good morning.
Good morning. I'm gonna start telling you about 10:30. We do this again. Facebook Live don't pause for you. So we're already live and people are watching us right now. So just so you know. Yeah.
Morning, everybody.
Morning, hey. That's fine. Just gonna be what it is then. Let's bow our heads. Lord, we thank you for this time to come to your church building, Lord. We just thank you for this opportunity. We ask you to keep us safe, Lord. We ask you to just help us to know why we do what we do, Lord, and that we are not here on any selfish reason, Lord, but we are here because we're here to serve and to worship you and to fellowship with one another. Lord, I ask you to bless this time that it may be pleasing to you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. How y'all doing this morning? Y'all doing all right this morning? I give honor to God for my being here and to Pastor Monroe Ballard and Brother Herman for inviting me here again. So I'm not a stranger to this place. Amen. I just feel a little worship song in my spirit this morning, and it simply says, "Oh Lord, we give you praise." And if y'all know it, just sing along with me. I'm gonna do this one a cappella this morning, all right? I got in a little, y'all see my face all swollen. And I was cleaning my yard yesterday and I probably got a hold to some poison ivy, so I'll see the doctor hopefully tomorrow when she get back in her office. So I'm not contagious, all right? All right, here we go. Oh Lord, we give you praise. And oh Lord, we bless your name. And we lift our voices to say thank you for your goodness and your mercy toward us. We offer praise. Oh Lord, we give you praise. And oh Lord, we bless your name. And we lift our voices to say thank you for your goodness and your mercy toward us. Yeah, for your goodness, Lord, and your mercy toward us. We offer praise. You are worthy of glory, honor, worthy of all praise for your goodness and your mercies toward us. Help me say for your goodness. That's all you're gonna say. Come on. And your mercies toward us. For your goodness. For your goodness. 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 Hey God. Goodness. Thank you for your goodness. Hey, your goodness. Thank you for your goodness and your glory toward us. We offer you praise, praise. Hallelujah, worship him. Hallelujah, hallelujah, worship him. Hallelujah, worship him. He's worthy of the worship. He's worthy of the glory. Hallelujah, oh hallelujah.
So glad to have her here today just to share with us. We're going to take up our offering if Brother Herman is ready. Yes. And bring it child box up. Yep.
We're gonna come back up there with it.
Joseph, you got a better plan? You got another plan for all?
We're gonna wait till the end.
All right, then we're gonna stay right on. All right. So we're trying this to come back to church. Y'all, this is the most hardest work. We got to do this every week. I ain't gonna lie to you. This is gonna be a stretch. But we will communicate with each other and we'll decide what we want to do. But we're here today and we fellowship with one another. But just so you know what it takes, somebody's got to come in and I was gonna say sanctify the room, but disinfect, and we have to pay somebody to do that. Then when we leave, we have to pay somebody to sanitize the room when we leave. So it can be very expensive. And they didn't decide to go to stage 3 like we anticipated. Remember, they were supposed to go to stage 3, and because they thought everything was getting better, but then they have decided that the virus is more prevalent now than it was earlier, so they stayed at stage 2, which means that we came anyway because we told everybody we were coming, so we decided to do it. But it's we can talk about it over the week and we'll see. But what we do want to start doing on Thursdays at 6:30, we'll have a time online that we can have like a study time on Thursdays, okay? And I waited to tell everybody today so that we can have a nice group that would show up. So, and I picked Thursdays because there's so much going on Tuesdays and Wednesdays already, and that people are participating in. So Thursday nights at 6:30, and it'll be just called Let's Talk. All right, so you got subject matters you want to bring up, you got questions you want to submit, then you can submit those, and we'll get those questions answered, and we'll work on them together to figure out things that are in the Bible. But glad that you all have come. There were others that wanted to come. We weren't able to ride the bus, not knowing how this whole virus thing is working. We just had to be safe, and so we're thankful for those that came, that could have come. And I don't think, I'm trying to make sure there's no more announcements. Yeah, go ahead.
This is Father's Day.
Yeah, it is Father's Day. We have a few fathers, and we can handle that now if you'd like to, her, and we can come up and if you are a father, if you don't mind standing.
Oh, okay.
And the church wants to present you with something, just to say your presence. Thank you for your presence, and thank you for being the father that you fathers have certain qualities and things that make them fathers. Don't stick your head today. We're gonna go with the biological term of a father today. That's what we're gonna stick with. We do appreciate you all being here. And if anybody wants to say anything about their father, or if your father's not here, you still want to say something about your father, feel free to come up. Our spot places with you, and you can come up here and say what you want to say. And I'm asking you to come up here because there are people watching online that would love to see and hear what you're saying. So, and we're gonna use this mic so you don't have to really touch the mic, and that way we don't have to keep cleaning it, but they'll be able to hear you. Brother David.
Good morning, church.
Good morning.
To be a father is an awesome thing. And to go without a father is a challenging thing. I would say, if you have a viewers in online, those in the congregation, you have a father, you have a male component in your life that's urgent to be a father figure. Be grateful, be thankful. As we celebrate each other as Father's Day, we should also give God His glory and say Happy Father's Day to God. But for Him being a father of Jesus, we would have an opportunity to be what we are today. And as I did my Father's Day, it took me 25, almost 30 years to get over. I never had the opportunity to get to know or understand who I was as an individual. But I'm thankful, and I'm saying Happy Father's Day to each and every father. Happy Father's Day to everyone that was instrumental in my growth, including my mother. As a mother and a father.
Amen.
Good morning. I would like to thank the Lord for my father. They gave his legs while the country. He served in the war, and he served under some trying conditions, but he served. And I just thank God for my father because he was always in my life. Even though he had one leg, he was a bricklayer. And that's something that our young men should know. Sometimes they say they can't work. Well, my father worked 40 years as a bricklayer. and he never missed a day. And I just thank God for him. I thank God for my husband, the father of my children. And I just thank God for, God bless you.
Well, these one of these rare opportunities for me, seems like no one, may or may not know, I had a father, my father was, he passed when he was 81 years old, but I didn't have the opportunity to live with him all those years, because of, things went the way it went. But, my father was the type of father that he was a hard working man. And he always told me that always give an honest day's work for an honest day's living. And even though it came up during the time when there was a lot of depressions and like racial tensions and things, one thing my mother and father, because I was with a khaki rep, I was finna disrespect the man because of his race. My mama told me, boy, you don't never do that now. And she caught me and said, boy, you don't. And I was finna, for no reason other than for his race, because he was our, back in on the country, they called him an agent. It wasn't like co-worker or whatever. And we worked in the time that he worked chopping cotton and picking the cotton, and you worked those long hours, 14 hours a day. You start at 6 in the morning and you stopped at 8 at night. And, those were long hours. And you wasn't, and I didn't understand when I got to Memphis, I didn't understand the lunch hour situation, because there was no lunch hour. You had, what they call it, the opportunity to eat. You ate when there was an opportunity for you to eat, because you was paid continuously. You didn't have a break, because that type of work didn't require you to have a break per se. But my father was a person of position, because he was one of those people even back in those days. He was one that drove the truck and would pick up men and women for work and take them to work. And I really, by knowing him and understanding the work ethic, is that when they came to pick you up, they would come by your house and say, toot, 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 and come back. And wasn't nobody going, there was no second toot, toot. Yourself had to be out of the house, ready to be picked up, because that person had a route, what you call it. And there was no, you had to, and my father taught me that you had self-discipline. You had to remember for yourself. You didn't have mama and he wasn't doing that kind of stuff. Now, my daddy was like a discipline. He and my mama, you get whooped for stuff that you didn't, that kids don't get whooped for their dads. Only I did lie and got whooped for it.
Only thing you did.
Like it's part of their life. But I got a whooping. Getting a whooping, they talk to you about it. And they say, be still. I'm getting a whooping, somebody tell me to be still. And don't make me hit myself. Ain't gonna hurt you more than hurt me. I said, no, I don't. But my father taught us that type of lifestyle. And we went to work. And we worked, even now, if I'm at work, I gotta work. And it just made my father taught us. And I thank God for it. I continually got that type of father advice from older men like Brother Askew, Brother Monroe Ballard, who passed on, Farron, Brother Sam. When you look at men that are moving on, regardless of their age, they become a father figure, because a father is not just a name, it's what they teach you. And how you can receive that information And then what fathers are for. They teach young men and women how to be a better person in this life. And I think that's what we are basically missing in this country, that men are not really teaching their younger men how to be men. Not everybody now. Because there's some great fathers in this church that are teaching their father, they're teaching their children how to be men. And some young lady gonna be grateful. She gonna be grateful because we got some that's unfortunate. I thank you all.
Good morning. I'd like to tell y'all about my father. I found out that when I was born, my father was 50 years old when I was born. And my father died when I was 50. He lived to be 95 years old. And I feel like 50 years was not enough time to spend with my father. You know, he told me all about what he went through in Mississippi and Tunico, the way the whites treated the blacks. And my mother, she couldn't stand white folks. Couldn't stand them till the day she died because of the way they treated her. And I was the youngest of 10. And my 3 oldest, I had an older brother and 2 older sisters. And my father, he couldn't read or write, but he wanted his kids to read and write. And in Mississippi at that time, they had a 3-month school and they had a 9-month school. So he sent his kids to the 9-month school. But at the time of being in the field chopping cotton, him and my mother was out there doing it. And all of a sudden, here come my 2 sisters and my brother coming across the field. He wanted to know why they were in school. The white man, when he got him out of school, because he said niggas don't need to read. Niggas don't need to write. You know, so I miss my father and my mother because they taught me a lot about how things was back then. And I'm gonna leave that alone. But on a different note, I'm gonna tell you about my father. I was a messed up kid. Anything and everything, being the youngest, I was spoiled. So as I got older, I went to my father and I asked him for some money. He told me, boy, didn't I just give you some money the other day? I said, yeah, but I need some more. He said, well, I ain't getting enough. And being an old man as my father was, you know, I told him, I said, man, you plan on taking that money with you? He said, yeah, it's mine. So I told him, I said, okay, then when you lay in that coffin, I'm gonna reach over there and get your wallet and I'm gonna take it out and I'm gonna count that money about 4 or 5 times, make sure I count it right. I ain't gonna miss a penny. And then I'm gonna reach in my pocket and pull up a check, because if you could cash or spend that money where you going, you definitely could cash the check. Well, my dad he got so mad. I had my mama holler, okay, you put it down, baby, man. And about 3 or 4 minutes later, he did not killing himself there. And he called for me. Mama said, I said, ain't no thing. Mama said, come on in there and see what he wants. You got him started. I went in there and he gave me the money I wanted. But I was scared to go in there because I know I had stepped on some toes. And I know what you coming was coming behind me, stepping on some toes. But I got in there and I got what I wanted. And he hugged me and we laughed about it. And I really, I think about my father every day. Every day on the day go by it, I don't think about my father. Because I feel like 50 years is not enough time for me to spend with my father. And I feel the same way about my mother. She didn't live too long after my father because my father was 31 years old, 30-some years old. My mama was 13 when they got married. But that's the way they told me it was back then. They put young girls with older men so they could have plenty kids to work the field, you know, and,
You have to ask some old people about it. If that's how it was.
and, it was, you know, I love it because they taught me things that I needed to know to get along in this world. Because, it's just a crazy world, and I'm seeing the same thing that they taught me on my phone every day. I lay there and watch my phone every day to see the way the whites treat us. And I don't say nothing, I just look at it. That's what we all need to do. All the young people and all the people that need to get on their phone and just not say nothing, just sit there and listen and try to stay out the way. Because, you know, where I was with my life, I was always in the way. Now I learned to stay out the way. And my life is going great right now. I'm enjoying everything. I'm just missing my terms. So, that's about all I'm saying right now.
Hey. Yeah.
Good morning. I just like to thank God for my father. He turned 89 this year, and he is still kicking. Had him over for dinner yesterday. We celebrated Father's Day. Me and my sisters, we celebrated Father's Day with him. Cooked dinner, cooked his favorite. He loved pinto beans, fried corn, and fried chicken. But my father, he worked hard all his life. He was not present in my life the whole time, but I still thank God for him because I know he was a hard-working man, and from that I knew that I had to work hard. But I just like to thank God for the years that I've had to spend with him. And these last years, I know you've heard the saying, just because. I love my dad, just because. Thank you.
My dad was an herb doctor, Seth Valley. He go to the woods, find leaves and bark, roots, use it to make medicine. And so he was called herb doctor, Seth Valley. I didn't realize that he was ahead of his time. Now, a whole lot of folks are trying to do that. He had a statement that we oftentimes use, do right, go straight. I didn't know how valuable that was until I started seeing that people thought it was okay to not do right. And it was okay to do a little line here and there and to not be quite straight up. So in a way, do right, go straight is kind of an unusual thing. If you're a person of integrity, people really can trust you, right? He was a community activist, and he led, voted when folks went vote, went to the March on Washington, and led in the local integration program, had my sister go to the integrated federal building, had a cousin, his name, my cousin, integrated white school in Florida. And we also housed civil rights workers in our house. So we were kind of active in the civil rights movement. He wanted his children, all 8 of them, to go to college and get a degree. He didn't have the money. So he prayed, asked God to do it. So God sent Lawrence and Jones, Piney Woods, to Jackson where he was selling herbs and said, after talk, he said, you send him to Piney Woods, I'll send him to college. So he made a point to send all his children except one to Piney Woods, and Dr. Jones saw to going to college, so we all got a college education. my dad was a good nurse, and I did not realize he did the nursing when you got sick. So if you're sick all night, he was up most of the night with you. So he was the person who would nurse all night, work all day, and you got sick. And he also didn't want any of his children to miss school. Sometimes violent children, homeless children at school. On certain days, you picking cotton and chopping cotton, or it rained too hard, the roads got too muddy. Some folks didn't go to school, but we were there. So he made his belief part of his argument when he got into a little discussion. When he got into a discussion with my mother, and he got to talk about what priorities he had to say. Children got to go to school. Children got to go to school to get education. So he made his points that he wanted us to hear. He said it while he was talking to my mama. And that was kind of like earshot. So I just want to say, my dad left some strong impressions on generations to come. And thank you so much.
Thank you everybody for sharing. Out there, fathers. You know, it's a weird thing these days because so many have households that didn't have a father. And you have to find somebody that can hold that place. And that's normally in the past has been what the church has done, that we have stepped in and been a strong pillar in that family or in that community where the young people can have somebody they can look up to that will lead them in the right direction. And I know we've had, somebody mentioned this, we've had strong men and still have strong men that have been in place for those families that need that. I think about my dad, Brother Richardson, Brother Askew, that when I was younger, that even when my dad's back was turned and I was trying to do something, that Brother Askew might say something to me, or Brother Richardson might give me, or Herman might correct me or give me some things. I tell people all the time, Herman, now my dad gave me tons of talents. I'm not gonna say God gave me talents, but he matured those talents. He discovered those things and made me learn how to use them and how to develop them. But Herman brought me some skills through the computer world that really allowed me to have a career. And he's not my biological father, he's a father figure that was at the church. But he allowed God to let him share me stuff, and I built on what he gave me. And he still to this day always asking me, are you interested in this? What about this? And ask me about those things. But those things helped me set up a life financially that I was able to give back and help those when it was my turn to be a father figure for others. And I appreciate Herman for that. But I normally don't say much because I always get emotional, but my dad I was the only boy in the house for a long time. 12 years later, my little brother came, but he got spoiled. He did what he wanted. But when I was growing up, every day was work day. Every day. Every day. We on spring break meant nothing in our house. Spring break meant we got plenty of time to do what we need to do around the house now. We cutting trees. We going to cut grass. We making burglar bars. We going to set up sound for something. It was always something. But I didn't know not to like it. People were telling me, your daddy worked you too hard. Like, I didn't know that it was a problem. Like, I'm like, we're going here. I'm with my daddy. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And we have to be careful how we say stuff to people when we talk to them about what is happening in their lives. Because when I think about it, my daddy wasn't doing anything negative to me. But people would tell me from outside my house how negative it was that my daddy was working me. And when I look back on it, I wouldn't trade it for nothing. I can't, look, the list is so long, the things that God has blessed me to be able to do, and that I'm able to do because my dad was there. Now I hear people talk about how Mr. Mallow was there for me. I don't know how he was able to be there for all these people, but my dad was always at home. He was always there for us. He was always teaching school during the day. We went to school with him. We were in his 6th grade class. My daddy would, and this is not my story, this is Effie's story. My daddy checked on the report card that he needed a teacher-parent conference on Effie's report card, and he was the teacher. So I don't even know how that worked, but maybe he talked to my mom, and maybe that's how I got here. So anyway, those things happened, but he was very instrumental in everything that I do now. I purposely, everything I build, I purposely use tools that my daddy left behind. I say, I want him to be involved in everything that I'm building. When I do stuff at the church, I got stuff that I keep in my bag that I use some of the pens he wrote with. I use some of the pads that he used to write in, just to remember that God used him to set my life up for this. I never would have thought that I would be here, interim pastor at Friendship Church. That was never on the radar. He never talked to me about being a pastor or a preacher. He just said, do right. Do right. That's what he wanted, and live peaceably with all men. That's what my dad, he would say that all the time. And righteousness, he would talk to us about those things, being right in every situation. And so to be here for Father's Day is like exciting for me because I personally had a father, but it leaves responsibility on me. Now, God has not saw fit for me to have biological children. Me and my wife don't have children, either one of us. But he has placed people in my way that I'm supposed to handle, that I'm supposed to work with, that I'm supposed to be an example for. And I have made sure that whatever I'm doing, we foster children. I've had young men stay with me, and when I got married, my wife has brought children, young girls in that we have raised. And God gave us that to do because of what's put in me. And so I want to go to the scripture a little bit so we can just take something with us. But let's bow our heads. Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for Father's Day. We thank you for those fathers that have taken on the role of fatherhood, Lord. And Lord, that you would just encourage those that have not been there for their families and their children, Lord, that they would find a way today to be encouraged to do that and to start becoming part of their families. And Lord, soften the hearts of the children so that they will receive a father that wants to come back and start being what he hasn't been for them, Lord, that they won't turn him away, but they would open arms, receive him, and start building their relationship that they have once missed. And we just ask all these things. Bless this message. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. I'm pressing on the upward way. New heights I'm gaining every day. Still praying as I'm onward bound. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. Lord, lift me up and let me stand by faith on heaven's tableland, on higher plains that I have found. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. And I think that's what God used my dad to do. Not to just float through life, but it says, I'm pressing. And that's what we have to do. We have to press. We have to use everything that comes to us to press toward those things that God is calling us to do. Because it's easy, y'all. It's easy, especially during this quarantine. I'm going to try not to drink water, y'all, for the next 3-4 days. I have eaten so much food. People bringing you pecan pies and stuff. That whole pecan pie, 2 days. 2 days I ate a whole pecan pie. And so I'm pressing toward not eating much. But when God shows you stuff, it's not, when you get glimpses, you laying in bed and you're thinking through things, these are not just daydreaming. These are not just mistakes. These things God places on our mind. When something pops in your mind, he is putting that in your spirit to put action to it. And it's the responsibility of us to press toward those things and say, this is what God is calling me to do.
Yes.
When I hear people talking and say, I think God wants me to know. If you think that, that's what he's wanting you to do.
Amen.
And that's something, when this opportunity came and the DS asked me, would I mind filling in for the pulpit till we found somebody in the church and just to preach, until we did. I told him, let me think about it, because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to say, hey, let me wait. But the way my dad raised me is to understand if it's the right thing. It's no, what we're talking about, what we're thinking about. Go and do it. Now, was I prepared? Did I think I knew all what to say? The first thing I said, I don't know what I'm going to preach. But God will fix the rest.
Yeah.
Obedience. You just be obedient and let him do what he's going to do. He has prepared me. I'm going to tell you, the Herman, and I know I already talked about, but Herman is amazing to me. He will call me with ideas. He would text me, did you check this? Did you get the sanitizer? He ordered all this stuff, the sanitizer, and I don't know how he gonna get his rest and how but I try to remember him on stuff because Herman looks out for me. And Herman checks on, I already called this person. I already did this thing, and that's amazing because it's a lot of work. Just to come back today, the young man came and helped me yesterday. We gotta come get video ready. We gotta get the church clean. We gotta do this. We gotta make sure the restroom is right. If we have to use, we gotta make sure the doors, the air is working. Herman had to get the air fixed this week. He met up here with the man. Herman had to get the church clean. He met with Brian. It's work after work after work. And then to prepare, y'all, I'm tell you, I want to be here because it's just come up here and preach. But when we're not here, you gotta record. You gotta edit. You gotta put it online. You gotta listen to people that say, I ain't find it. I ain't see it. You didn't put it on there right. And it's just a lot of pressure. But I'm willing to do it. And I'm going to press toward it until I get it right. Because that's what God has called me to do. And so let's look at the scripture. Matthew 3:13 through 17. Then Jesus came from Galilee to the Jordan to be baptized by John. But John tried to deter him, saying, I need to be baptized by you, and do you come to me? Jesus replied, let it be so now. It is proper for us to do this to fulfill all righteousness. Then John consented. As soon as Jesus was baptized, he went up out of the water. At that moment, heaven was open, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and alighting on him. And a voice from heaven said, this is my son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased. A lot of times I use the mornings to study and meditate because it's real hard to do it when you're tired, especially working all day. And I have a disease. I cannot stop working, and I'm working on not stop working because that's my problem. But when I try to do that and then go study after that, I promise it's like this. I'm get where I'm comfortable, and then I go. And I'm like, it's like, and then I can close and be like, oh, wait. It's like just like that. So in the mornings, it's easy for me to study and to read. And so while I was laying in bed praying, I was thinking about all these things that's going on, the virus. And I said, man, you think about all the bad stuff. You think about all the negative stuff that's going on. Why don't you think about all the things God has done for you? And so I started lining them up in my mind. I was like, man, I'm still here, number one. Number two, I just woke up, number two. So, and then number three, I was like, well, a lot of people are without work. I've been blessed to have a job and continue to work. And even though I had a little period where all the people in my building weren't paying rent because their businesses were closed, it was a little nerve-wracking, but God fixed that and made a way so everybody's back and handling their business. And I have to realize that that's not normal. Like I'm being blessed. And so it's those kind of things we have to recognize in our life. What is happening that God is doing in your life? Don't just concentrate, because it's going to always outweigh, the good's going to always outweigh the bad. It's easy for us to just think about the negative things, because guess what? We're not really prepared for them when they come. You kick your foot on something and it hurts. You start thinking, how this happened? This happened. But those things shock us because everything is going so good. Business is going well. We have sold food or made clothes or delivered whatever your job is. You've done those things. And so it's a blessing. And so we have to realize that God has brought us through those things.
Amen.
And while I was doing it, I realized that it wasn't just that I was thanking him, but then when I started thanking him, I started thanking him for things. It was always things like, thank God for my car, thank God for this, thank God. But when I got past the things and I said, what else has he done? I started thanking him for the favor. Because I don't know exactly how I'm gonna use the same example, how Herman came to want to share about computers. Maybe he saw my interest like my dad did, because my dad bought me a computer when I was real young because he saw that I was interested in it. I didn't realize now what money cost then. And so I realized he took out a loan and, he did a lot to make sure I could be learning things that I need to learn. But he put a lot into that. And for Herman to see that was faithful. Because Herman could have said, oh, not a head boy, and left me in the corner by myself. But he decided to, if I would receive it, to offer some of the support and some of the things that he knew about the computer. And so I said, it's not just things, it's favor. Because see, sometimes we grow up in situations where we don't have the money. We can't get the things. We can't get the transportation. We can't get these things. But God will put favor on your life if you just follow him. If you just decide, I'm gonna do what's right, I'm gonna live a Christian life. Living a Christian life is just saying, I understand that Jesus died on the cross for my sins, and I repent for the things that I've done that's wrong, and I turn from those things and say, I'm gonna start doing everything I know to live right. And once you start doing that, he's gonna honor that. And that's where favor has to kick in for so many of us, because if we don't have the finances, we don't have the physical, tangible things, then the favor opens the door where money can't. A lot of times we find ourselves saying, I don't know how I would have gotten this job, or in fact, in your case, I'm sure you had some catering jobs where you say, I don't know how they call me, but thank you, God. Because I've got video jobs. Even during this quarantine, I retired from video when I was 40 years old. I was like, I'm not going to do it no more. I thought I was going to sit at home, but I ended up becoming COO at the neighborhood Christian Center. And that just like this job, I didn't know how that was happening. I said, all right, here I come. Because I just believe God does things. There's no need to think about it. She wouldn't have asked me if God wanted me to do it. I just believed it. And so it's going well. It's been going well. But God sends things. I've gotten 2 or 3 phone calls about doing video when I needed the money. And I was like, yeah, I'm retired, but I got you. I'm going to do that one. And so that's how God does it. He starts to put things in your way. And you got to believe, like, it's got to be faithful. My obedience is yielding what he said he would do, his promise. And then even after the favor has opened more doors, it's opened more doors than I can name. But then after the things and the favor, I think the next best thing are the people that we meet as Christians. That we meet that can do things you can do things for them, and they can do things for you. I think about me and Farron, and we talk probably once a week or sometimes skip a week, but he knows that I got him, and I know he got my back. If I need some crab meat, I don't even call him. I just drive out there and I look and I say, who's gonna do that crab meat? Because I know that he gonna share that with me. But he knows that we have a relationship like that, and we didn't have to have no talk. We talk. Yes, hey, you got me right, or we never had to do that. As Christians, it's just, when you're in school, they tell you understood. Like you have a sentence, it doesn't say who the noun is, but it says you understood. Well, it's understood. It's understood. We don't have to talk about it. It's understood. When I walk in the room and I hear Miss Raina singing, I walk in the office and Miss Raina singing, and now some people that don't understand would like, hey, you can't be singing at the front of the building like this. People might not want to hear all that. When I hear her singing, I'm like, I walk through and like, she needs to be able to do that. She's at a Christian organization and she don't sound bad, but she does sing, and you can hear her all the way in the back office. But it's not a problem. It's not a problem. What we do sometimes is we get caught up in ourselves and we make it a problem. Out of policy, we ask that you just don't do that. Not that they didn't, it's not bothering anybody. It's not, nothing's doing it. And when it's, I'm sure when people talking right there, whether she respects, she know how to do it. But it's actually that we have to be cognizant not to create a problem where there's not one. And sometimes we just let ourselves do stuff because, well, that's what they would have done. But God put you there. Why are you in this situation? He put you in there to, if it needs to be done different, do it different. We can't run this church the same way that somebody else ran it, and knowing some of the issues and some of the problems and some of the things that were done. And now we're in a position we say, well, they would have never let that happen. But there's nothing wrong with handing out food out there. There's nothing wrong. It was nothing wrong with it when they didn't like it. But they had something in them that didn't want it. But now when God puts somebody else in a place and somebody says, Mama, we want to give out food out the church, well, let's do it. Because why not? You got to give me a good reason why giving food to the hungry is a problem. Or if we decide to paint this way or do this way, give me the problem in it. Because I'd rather discuss what the negatives are and say, well, that don't matter no more. This person don't. And let's do it. Let's do whatever it is. Because God has put you in a position to make better decisions, better choices that are going to lead to helping more people. And so we have to stand up and press toward doing the right thing. And when you're a father, and every father situation, this stuff I had to learn because I did grow up, and I'm gonna say sheltered, because I didn't see a lot of the things that happen a lot. I mean, you have a lot of single parent households, you have a lot of blended family households where you have children here from a first marriage, or and I didn't see that until I got older. Now imagine me if I never seen any of that. And then God put me up here, and I'm trying to tell people, you need to have both your, and if you make, and I'm down in all the people that have different situations than I grew up in. And so now people are come, they say, well, wait a minute. I didn't grow up, my mom didn't have all that money. My daddy was a drunk, he left us, and my mama met somebody that would take care of her, and she got married, and we all moved in, and you say I'm wrong for that? We happy. But if what God did, I look at what he did through my life. He allowed me to grow a certain way, but then he exposed me to so many situations. And he had my heart to be sympathetic and understanding of other people's life. Every life is not the same. And if we try to take the Bible, which I left back there, and try to just force feed it based on my life, it's not going to work. It's not going to match everybody. It's not going to be the same. The way I understand the Bible has to be inclusive of everybody's life, everybody's trial, everybody's upbringing. It has to match. And if we try to just get this thing and say, this is how it's going to be at my church, no, it's got to be, this is how it's going to be because the word says this. This is how it applies to the way you grow up. This is how it applies to the way you grow up. And then everybody can find themselves in the word of God. And so you have a father that wants to learn to pray, but he didn't have prayer growing up. And he's like, how do I pray for this situation or pray for that situation? And I'm gonna tell you something, children, and I've been told this, and I've had some foster children, they will teach you how to become closer to God for sure. Because they're gonna make you pray more. You're gonna be trying, like somebody gotta tell them, I'm gonna bring them to church. Like somebody gotta help me because I've told them everything I know, and somebody's gotta help me with these children, right? But if you live long enough with your children, they're so cute growing up. I remember my brother Justin, everybody just wanted to just hold Justin, and he was 12 years younger than me, and I was the baby before him. So just imagine, Effie 8 years, so Effie was 20 when he was born. So that means that he just really got spoiled. And I remember when he got old enough to recognize that he had the attention, he would come in the room and just be like looking around, and he'll start doing his dance or playing with this. He just knew that everybody, and he was like one and a half, 2, and he already knew that I could command this room. He knew that. And it wasn't negative, that's just something natural that comes with innately with being born. And so he grew up and he'd do whatever he wanted. We get the whooping, he wouldn't get the whooping, and I hope he watching this. But it was not until he got older that he had to meet the same belt we met. And my dad realized, I don't know if he realized how spoiled he was, but he realized I can't spare this rod, right? He's got to get whoopings like everybody else. And so he started to be disciplined, which we were in the room going, but he started being disciplined, and we were, he started understanding the boundaries. And that's what parents have to put in place. A father, it's just something different when a father walks in the room. Children, I hear parents say all the time, your daddy gonna be home in a minute. Or you hear that a father comes in and the children just all quiet down, or because it's just something about the presence of a father. And so fathering is easy, I believe, to make a child, but being a father is another thing, and being there for your children. And I think it's important that we understand what comes with fatherhood. So everybody makes macaroni different. We use macaroni as an example. So some people get the macaroni, the actual noodles, and pour them in the thing. They get a little powder, pour it on there, get a little water or milk, pour it in there, stir it up, put it in the microwave. All right, macaroni and cheese. Some people get macaroni and they have to boil the cheese and boil the cream and all the other seasoning, and then they mix it with the noodles that they boiled. It never makes to a microwave, it bakes in the oven. Amen. And that's how they make their macaroni. Now, I'm saying, you eat macaroni? You don't eat no more. We're gonna make him a veggie macaroni one day. We'll find us some zucchini noodles. But everything is different when it comes to that. But guess what? There is one common factor in macaroni. And what is it? The noodles and the cheese. You definitely gonna have, and that's what it is with a father. No matter how you were raised, no matter how you talk to somebody, whatever, you have some commonalities that have to happen. That you have to be present, number one. Number two, you have to discipline while you're there. Whether you want to or not, your child will respect the discipline that you give them. And so even though everybody does it differently, our goal is to encourage and to press our children toward the final. So as I wrap up, the number one point, like I said, is be there. And when you show up, see, my dad was at school. We had a program, he's showing up, and I think back now, I'm like, man, a lot of my friends didn't have anybody show up. I'm talking about we singing concerts, we graduating, nobody was coming. And so you have to, when you hear this as a young child or as a middle-aged child and you start having children, I'm telling you, it's important for you to be there for your children. Y'all gonna have children in the next 15, 20 years, 30 years, okay, 30 years, I'm sorry, but I was talking to the babies, okay. You don't want no more children? Okay. But when you start having your children, it's something may not tell you to be there if nobody was there for you. Or nobody might say it's important. Your child comes home and they're excited to tell you, Daddy, I'm graduating tomorrow, or Daddy, we having parents' lunch, or Daddy, we having a singing thing or an acting thing. I want you to be there. And what happens is the more you miss, the more they stop telling you about it. And you just don't even know. My daddy came to my basketball games, and guess how many games I got in? None. I was tall, that's all. I could not play well until my late junior year and my senior year. But my daddy was there, and he would be sitting in the same spot, eating his nachos. Every game. And I promise, thinking back as an adult to my dad, my dad was like, I hope they can sit stand over here, at least I get to eat some nachos. Because he was going to be there eating nachos. And he would come and he would watch the games, and then he would tell me, you need to be outside practicing, you need to be out. Now, his thing was softball, it wasn't basketball, but he would be trying to encourage me into it, like make the layup or something. And my coach would tell him that I'm timid, and that's what it was. I didn't grow up. I was the only boy from 0 to 12. And me and my dad did hard construction work. It wasn't no wrestling. We didn't do a lot of wrestling and pushing and bumping. So when I play basketball and they touching me, I'm like, I'm almost letting them lay it up. Like, I'm sorry that I found you, you know. And that I had to get that out of I had to learn how to, it was okay to push them a little bit or touch them. And so my coach became a father figure with basketball. It took him 4 years to get in my mind that it's okay to push and touch and foul. It's okay to get 5 fouls, son. I remember telling him that. You get 5 fouls, you get fouled, man. And so I started learning how to be a little tougher. And then, see, by the time I got to be 20, 21, I was a good basketball player, just too late to go to high school and do it. But those things are things that you have to learn from other people when it's available, other fathers. What I do want to point out, let's now in Luke and back in Matthew, in chapter 3, it tells you, go to the last verse, 17. God said, "This is my son whom I love, with whom I am well pleased." Now, in Matthew, this is said, and this is after his baptism. Now, there are some controversial thoughts about the baptism, because in Luke chapter 3, it alludes to the fact that John the Baptist might have been in prison when Jesus got baptized, right? So, but there's a third recording that puts John the Baptist there as baptizing him also. So, but there's people that have different things. But guess what the fact is? Whether John baptized him or anybody else baptized him, the fact is that God, his daddy, showed up. He showed up and he said, "This is my son whom I love, with him I am well pleased." He let that be known publicly. Now, if we look at Luke's version, go to Luke 3:18. Go down. Go to the last one. Oh no, that was the one I was telling you about, John the Baptist. Go to Luke 1:35. Oh, thank you. Yeah. The angel answered, "The Holy Spirit will come on you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. So the Holy One to be born will be called the Son of God." So it was stated, this was before. He was telling us, this was kind of the foreshadowing that Jesus would be the Son of God, right? And Jesus hadn't done anything. He hadn't walked on water. He hadn't changed the water into wine. He hadn't healed the sick, raised the dead. He hadn't done any of this. But his Father was already telling him, "I am well pleased with you." And so it's important that we understand what he did. Your child may not have become the millionaire doctor, or he might not have done such and such, but you need to be putting into him that you are pleased with his obedience, that you are pleased with what he's trying to do these things, that you are pleased that he showed up at church. You see what I'm saying? He just got baptized and he was already saying he was pleased with what he was doing. And this is the first time that God showed up. Before that, he spoke through the angels. If you think about it, when Mary was going to have Jesus, the angel came and talked to her and told her that her son would be the Son of God. So it's important that you pour into your children. And then I like what my dad did also. He didn't really ask me exactly what I wanted to do, but until I came up with what I was going to do, I was going to be a welder, I was going to be a plumber, I was going to break leaves, I was going to cut grass. It did not matter. You're going to learn all these skills until you figure out what you want to do. My senior year in high school, I had to paint lines on the parking lot at Robin Hood Park Apartments, and I knew then that I was going to do something else because it was 100,000 degrees outside, and I knew that this can't be it. This can't be it. And I did like to check a little bit, but no, I thought I was going to pass out every day. And I could hear the people talking about, "He painted all the lines?" I'm like, yeah, this is my last time painting lines, because I don't think I can do it. But I did it until I could do something else. And so you have to do that. Now, I'm going to tell you something else my dad did. There are a lot of sins that I didn't get to participate in. If we had a school trip, guess who was chaperone on the bus? My dad. And I didn't know sometimes what I was getting myself into. I went on a trip with the marketing team, which they did it every year. I didn't even know about it until my senior year. And we were on the trip, and these folks were telling me all the stuff that's gonna be going on. And I hadn't heard none of that stuff before. We bang. Our room gonna have the alcohol. Our room gonna have this and that, and we gonna bang. And I was like, ooh. Now I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you I ain't drink none of it. But I wanted to see it. I wanted to be like, what are they talking about? What is going on? So I told my dad about the trip. He said, oh, that's fine. When do we go? So he went, he rode the bus, and he had all the money I needed, everything. He was there. And he decided that he would chaperone another room. So at least I have some freedom while I was there. But he was close enough to keep me out of trouble. Because that's what a father does. He was not too far to where something could happen to me. He would know if hey, your son fell down the steps, or your son was found over here, he would have been right there because he was where I was. And that's how it was when I was going. Like I told you, he was always around where I needed him to be. And so a lot of the sins that a lot of my friends got to experience, a lot of the things that people got to experience, he protected me from it without me even knowing. He was keeping me from things that I didn't even know. And it's the same way with Christianity and our Heavenly Father. He's protecting me from so much stuff that we don't even know we're being protected from. And we have to recognize those things and honor him with our life. Like, thank you for keeping me from that. Thank you for not letting me experience this or do that. But why did he do that for me? He did that for me not to get up here and boast like I'm better because I didn't. No. He kept me in a place where I could be used to present the gospel, where I could be used to share my income. I could be used to make sure that people have a fair chance, that we aren't slighting the homeless or slighting people when they come in because they dress a certain way or they smell a certain way. He has me here to make sure that the least of these are felt just as good as the ones that have. And that's why he protected me. That's why he kept me from some things. Not that I'm better. I'm no better. There are struggles that I have in my life. They just happen to be different than the ones some other people struggle with. But I can't get up here and say like, oh, I got it all together. I've got it all together. You need to get yourself together. I can't do that because it's not true. And when people do that, it discourages. You know why? Because later on, they see that you got something going on. And then they say, he's been living a lie all this time. And that's why it's hard for people to come to a Jesus we talked about and say, you need to give your life to Christ, you need to become a Christian. Because they say, it's been fake all the time. And so that's why my dad had to protect me and keep me and make me so I can have a good start. So now, if I mess up now, it's on me. But he got me as far as he could. And he said, you know what? I have helped you develop all these skills, all these talents, and you added to them. I remember him telling me when I got my car for graduation, he said, now, you're gonna have some trouble because these policemen ain't gonna want you to see you with this nice car. They're not gonna want to see a nice looking black man. He said, a nice looking black man getting out of this car. And you young as you are, 18, 17, 18 years old, they gonna have a problem with that. So when they pull you over, you just be quiet. You just put your hands where they can see them and you just, yes sir, officer. And he told me this when I was getting my car. This wasn't something that he thought, well, if I tell him when it's time. He had to prepare me to live in this world with the racism and with the institutional racism that goes on. He had to prepare me because the truth is, it could have been my last day plenty of times. The same way they killed people now, they were killing when my dad was young. So it's not something that he could wait on. That's part of the conversation. It's part of the raising of a black man. Your child needs to know they're proud of you, and you need to know before they know what they're gonna do. You got your children in your house, you need to be saying, oh, he likes the computer, or he likes this, or he likes that. And you need to be putting those things in place for them. And then when you don't have the money, find favor. Find favor. Don't be scared to talk to people. I told y'all before, it's hard for people to tell people no when it comes to children. When you say, hey, man, Mr. Morrow, this child like this, you think you know somebody, you got somebody that can do this, you know, can I put them in the program, can I? You need to find those things where it don't cost. And there are things God has set up for us like that. So, you know, I just feel like everybody has a chance to influence so many people. And we have to take our time and be responsible for what God has put in your hands.
Yes.
You know, I look at Destiny when she was a little baby walking around. It's my birthday. It's my birthday. But now she's grown. She's over 19. And it's like she got her own job. She's gonna be driving soon. She's gonna have her own car soon. And those things she's gonna matriculate from a little child to an older adult right in front of us. And we have a responsibility to tell, hey, this is something you can do, or this is something you can do as a career. This is something you need to do as a young lady. Carry yourself this way. But if we build a relationship with her, she's going to heed to those things. But you're going to push her toward Jesus, you're going to push her toward God, and just say, these promises are here for you. You have to accept Christ. You have to be a Christian. You have to live the best you can. And know that if you do that, then sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. Amen.
Amen.
Well, let's bow our heads. We'll take offering on the way out. So after we dismiss, you can put your offering in the offering thing. But we'll let y'all know if we're gonna come next week. We'll talk as a board. We'll let y'all know if we're gonna come next week. But definitely Thursday online, we'll have a Bible study where we can talk back and forth and go through the word. We'll start that on Thursday. Since it's like gonna be a little longer, we don't want to keep putting stuff off. We want to start back doing some things, okay? But I love to see y'all on there. Even if it's just your name, typing some questions in or answering some questions, it'll be real nice. Amen.
Amen.
Lord, we thank you.
Thank you.
We thank you for the leading of your spirit to come and to fellowship with one another, Lord. Ask right now that you bless us, Lord. Keep us safe out in the streets, in the stores, in the jobs, Lord, where co-workers have come down with the virus, Lord, or have other illnesses that we have put on the back burner that can still be hindrance to our body, Lord. I ask right now that you would bless us and keep us safe from these things, Lord. Help us to remember that the climate we're in, Lord. Help our nation, Lord, as we go for the election for our next president, that, Lord, you would give us the right things to do and say and to vote for, and that, Lord, you would just help us as a people, that we would not be afraid to stand up for what's right, and that, Lord, if we stand up for righteousness, that it will exalt a nation. And, Lord, I ask right now that you give us the right words to say. Help us to witness to those that are around us, call out things that are wrong, that you would stand with us when we do that. Lord, bless us as we leave here, that we be safe. In Jesus' name I pray.
In Jesus.
Amen.
Amen.
All right, so you have an offering, we'll put it there, but I thank y'all for coming. It's really good crowd.
Happy Father's Day, sir.
Thank you.
Tell Mama, get your money. She know my money.
You like to get off.
$50.
My $50 count.
My card.
Your who?
My card.
We stop this thing, y'all talk.